Okay, here's a graph to do with the number of US refineries from 1974 to 2007. Now in 1973-74 there was the OPEC, the oil embargo. So I'm assuming here that the US had to increase their number of refineries, okay, to produce the oil. So have a look at this. So what we're saying here is okay, so it started to increase. From 1974 onwards there were more and more US refineries, okay, until a peak in, looks like 1981. Okay, I'll write that there. 1981. That was a peak. Okay, and it's like 324 oil refineries in operation. Then it started to decrease. Okay, they started to cut the number of US refineries down and down. So that's a very sharp decrease there. Again, think about it. Things going uphill like this from left to right is increasing. Okay, things coming downhill from left to right are decreasing. So decreasing the number of oil refineries over the years. Okay, let's have some questions on this. Identify the input variable. Okay, can you see that year? Here it is. Again, remember the x-axis, that's the important thing, okay? Okay, the number of years. The number of refineries depends on what year it is, okay? As time goes by, eventually, more and more refineries close, okay? We get fewer refineries, okay? It depends on the year. The year is the important thing, it's on the x-axis. That's the input variable. The output is the number of refineries on the y-axis, remember, okay? So that might be next, actually. Okay, what axis represents the input variable? Well, the year, and we'll call that the x-axis. So just for now, I'll write it down. No, it's not on here at the moment. The x-axis and the y-axis from the number of refineries. So again, it's on about the output variable. That's the number of refineries. Okay, and which axis represents the output variable? Well, again, the vertical one, refineries, the y-axis, as we like to call it. Okay, let's have a look at the page. Now, complete this following table. Right, in 1974, the number of refineries was 1974. I read up, it looks like about, let's call it 275, okay? So I would put 275 here. I'm not going to do too much of this, okay? Let's have a look at close to the peak in 1980, which was there, which is about, 320, okay? So I'd put 320 there. And let's look at a small one, okay? Let's go for what's 2002. 2002 right here. I'd read up, and it's actually written on this one 153, okay? So that would be 153. Now, what you're going to have to do on some of the tests is actually describe what's happening, okay? Summarize the changes that the US oil refining industry has undergone since the 1970s and include specific information. Okay, indicate intervals during which the number of refineries increased or decreased or remained the same. Indicate the year in which the number of refineries increased and decreased the most. So, if I'm reading this, okay, let's have a look at it. I have to look back at the map, at the little graph, and go, okay, information from the years. I would say this from the years 1974 to 1981. Okay, between those two. Okay, between those years, the oil refineries increased. Okay, can you see it's going up and up and up and up to 1981? That's where it increased. Okay, it's increasing from 1974 to 1981. It increases. Okay, right. It's decreasing pretty much all the way here, isn't it? I mean, it's decreasing. Well, I mean, obviously there's some increases here. So I'll tell you what I'll do. Split it up. It definitely decreases. Well, actually, if you think about it, it decreases there, doesn't it? Look at this little bit. It increases there, then it decreases a little, then it increases. So if I had to break it down to little bits, then I suppose I could say between, what's that? 1975, okay, right there, and 1 year later, 1976, okay, there's a slight decrease, okay? I'm just doing a general trend. Okay, it's increased basically from 1974 to 1981. There was a little decrease between 1975 and 1976. Okay, because it went down. So down to 1986. Okay, so I would say from here to here, from this period, from 1981 to 1986, it's decreasing. I'll just put DEC for decreasing. A little bit of an increase from 1986 to 1987. Can you see that? It's just gone up a little bit. And then again, you know, most of it is downhill. I mean, there's a little bit here that's gone back up again, but after that, it's all downhill. You know, so it's hard to be too accurate on this. You're going to break it into little bits every single place, but think about what's increasing and what's decreasing. Okay, that'll become important over time. And what else do we have on some of the questions? And I think that's pretty much it. You know, you've just got to interpret yourself. You know, the period of time, like, you know, just a general trend from 1974 to 1981, and you could say things like this: it increased from about 275 to 324, so it went up. Now I'm reading the y-axis. Okay, I'm reading the y-axis. It went up from 275 right here as the lowest figure just there. It went up to 324. So what's that? That's a change of 275. That's about 49. It went up by 49 refineries, okay, from 274 or 75 to 324. Just take away 324. I just calculate that by going, okay, there's the maximum that we had in 81, and we had about 275 in 1974. The difference is, yes, 49. So it increased by 49 refineries between 1974 and 1981. Then let's say between these two it decreased from 1981 to 1986. It went from 324 as the maximum. It went down to, if I call that one there, about, well, let's call it about 215 maybe. It's kind of like halfway in between 210 and 220. Let's say that barrel there, yeah. So 215. Might need a calculator for this one. Okay, calculator. So 324 minus 215 equals 109. So there we go, 109. Okay, so all I'm saying is here we go. Here's the increase between 1974 and 1981. Here's the huge decrease between 1981 and 1986. It went back a little, up a little bit in 1987. So, you know, it's basically like that. I could keep on going, and that's, you know, relevant information, a bit more detail. You're reading from a graph, okay?